What if Darth Maul invaded Coruscant at the same time as Dooku? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Gar Saxon looks up in surprise as Maul outlines his plan for the coming battle. He's already given orders for the fleet to be prepared, and the bulk of their forces mobilized. Only they will not be fighting on Mandalore.
My lord, you wish to abandon Mandalore? The outcome of the battle here is irrelevant. The true war will be waged on Coruscant, my lieutenant. Almec will remain here with a skeleton force to make our resistance appear convincing. But my lord, this is our home. Everything we fought for. To lose it now would bring dishonor. Are you Mandalorians so blind with your code that you cannot see the galaxy changing around you? Mandalore is simply a planet. It may be lost, but such a loss is acceptable. It will be recaptured in time. But if my master's plan on Coruscant comes to fruition, there will be no coming back. Now mobilize our forces and prepare to depart.
The Mandalorian warrior bows stiffly, but carries out these orders. Meanwhile, Coruscant has seen more activity in a matter of days than it has throughout the entire war. Thousands of warships hover above its atmosphere, trading fire and turning the skies above into a battleground. When the battle started days ago, it was orderly enough, with ships in close formation and supporting each other. Now, though, that order has devolved into 100 miniature duels as squadrons are in tatters. Ships rush to and fro, taking advantage of any opportunity, and starships streak between them and add to the chaos. It is the perfect opportunity for Maul's smaller ships to enter the planet undetected. He already has his allies in the Pikes and Black Sun move on ahead to secure parts of the lower districts to use as a base. For once, these places have been largely secure from the initial attack, as there is nothing of value to secure there. Yet the war still affects them, starving them and affecting their access to necessities. But for Maul, it is the cornerstone of his strategy. When he arrives, he brings not just soldiers, but supplies for the people there that are affected by the war. He has his gangs distribute them as the rest of Maul's army strikes. From the lower districts, they emerge and surprise the droid and clone forces above. None of them can react as Mandalorian warriors appear and wipe out entire squads while gangsters strike from the shadows, preventing them from regrouping. In a battle that is already hard-fought and chaotic, it only adds to the confusion as supply lines are ambushed, entire streets are lost, and Jedi assassinated. Yet these attacks are also random and don't seem to follow any real strategy. Instead, they are more focused on sowing confusion. It does succeed in pulling forces from both sides away from the fight. Maul smiles and watches this from a burning tower. He then joins in the fight, not as a leader, but as an assassin. While Gar Saxon commands the troops below, Maul leads an elite strike force into the command posts of Republic forces, taking out enemy commanders. Ajen Kolar, Shak Ti, and Roran Korab are among the casualties, leaving the ground forces short on leadership. Many Republic commanders leading the space battle reluctantly head to the surface, including Anakin Skywalker. As he descends onto Coruscant's surface, he is greeted by destruction and chaos. The streets are littered with bodies, and the fighting has just come to an end. But he sees a few Mandalorian scouts retreating down to the lower levels. Cursing, he hurries down after them, igniting his lightsaber. The Mandalorians suddenly whirl around and fire their blasters at him as they descend deeper. Anakin doesn't stop, blocking each strike and deflecting them back to the Mandalorians, who fall one by one. He suddenly leaps onto the back of the last scout and sends them crashing to the ground, where he drives his lightsaber through his chest, but the Mandalorian laughs.
Gotcha.
Suddenly, soldiers leap out and fire cables across his limbs. They stretch his arms taut as Maul leaps out from a building and swings his lightsaber down at him. However, Anakin suddenly jerks one arm, using the Force to draw on strength, and whips the cable against the lightsaber, and sidesteps the attack at the last second. He reaches for his lightsaber and blocks the second. Anakin then shoves Maul back with the Force and frees himself. Though more Mandalorians appear, Anakin smiles.
All of this for me? I'm touched. Of course. You are the legendary Anakin Skywalker I've heard so much about. That is why I cannot let you live.
He advances, sweeping his saber staff in a killing strike. Anakin twists his lightsaber down and halts this attack, twisting it aside and then tries to counter with another overhead cut. But before he can hit him, though, the Mandalorians fire more cables, trying to hold him back and letting Maul recover. Anakin whirls in the air and slashes through the cables, then uses the Force to activate one of the Mandalorian's jetpacks and sends him careening towards Maul. He leaps over the body, and their lightsabers clash again in a series of strikes. Maul grits his teeth, feeling the dark side pour into him as he throws a series of savage blows against Anakin. With his natural speed and strength, it should be overwhelming, but Anakin meets each strike head-on and halts them. When their lightsabers meet, Maul grips his hilt and tries to step forward and bear down on him, yet Anakin holds firm. Something begins stirring inside him, and Maul belatedly realizes it as he shoves back and then is thrown back against the wall by Anakin. Only then does Maul start to realize why Palpatine favors him so much. The power he has is overwhelming, and he realizes he might not be able to defeat him, but it does not matter. If nothing else, he can hold him at bay. In space, Rook Kast gathers the fleet, every Mandalorian and criminal ship they have under their command, and rushes the CIS fleet. With the battle raging around them, the Separatists are unable to respond to them. They strike like an arrow, piercing through their defenses and hitting the invisible hand, just as the Republic receives word of Palpatine's capture. Their goal is now to destroy it and prevent Palpatine from fulfilling his plan of letting Anakin kill Dooku. They batter the already weakened ship, hitting it hard before the Jedi can even organize a rescue attempt. From inside the ship, the Nemoidian and droid crews report the serious damage they are taking as the ships target critical systems. Dooku watches with concern, realizing that they may lose the ship before the Jedi even arrive. He glances at Palpatine, who remains calm, though a flicker of concern betrays his face. They track transmissions and hear Obi-Wan approaching. Just Obi-Wan. Only now does Palpatine realize something is wrong. Suddenly, a droid reports critical engine failure, and Dooku at last orders his troops to evacuate.
Apologies, Master, but this plan has failed, and we must now save whatever we can.
No. This is our best opportunity to corrupt the boy and turn him against the Jedi.
He will not even be here. The opportunity has already left us.
Very well. Order a retreat. If this plan has failed, then we cannot risk you losing your entire fleet.
Palpatine is left in a cell with a handful of battle droids that are easily cut down by Obi-Wan, who finds the Chancellor and rushes off the ship as it retreats. The battle begins to wane as both sides retreat to lick their wounds. On the surface, Anakin continues to duel with Maul, who struggles to hold him back. The Sith warrior trembles as he tries to keep up with his attack, but Anakin proves to be far stronger than expected, and he's shoved back. Maul skids against the ground and looks over him. One of his last Mandalorian warriors rushes in and tries to fire at Anakin as Maul rushes forward. But Anakin is careful and uses the Force to alter the warrior's trajectory, ever so slightly, so he flies directly in front of Maul for Anakin's use as a shield. But Maul activates his jetpack and throws him towards Anakin. The momentum throws the Jedi back, and when he shoves the dead warrior aside, Maul is gone, having disappeared into the shadows. Despite the chaos around them, the battle has gone in favor of the Republic, so far as recapturing the Chancellor has removed a major risk in the war effort. Many are surprised at how smoothly the Jedi managed to free him, and grow suspicious, but most are simply happy to have him back. Upon returning, Palpatine's first orders are to turn their attention towards the underworld, where the Mandalorians are sheltering. Palpatine says that they were the ones hampering the war effort, and they cannot afford a conflict on two fronts, so Maul should be dealt with, seeing it as a chance to get some glory. Anakin is selected for this task, while Obi-Wan continues the battle in space. Soon enough, Anakin heads down to the lower district, with fresh troops to reinforce the Coruscant Guard's hold on the planet. Yet, if he expects to be greeted with cheers and thanks, he is sadly mistaken. To the people of these places, the effort is too little, too late. Throughout the battle, it was Maul who kept things running, and they were not keen to lose him. The Mandalorians and criminals wage a shadow war against the clone forces, tying down thousands of troops in the massive lower districts. But they are aided by the people who help shelter them, provide guides, supplies, and a few even join in the fight. They sabotage supply lines, damage Republic equipment, and force the troops to shift from hunter-killer teams to riot control, becoming a drain on Republic sources as more Jedi and clones must reinforce them. Anakin himself is increasingly frustrated by what he sees as the ungratefulness of the people, and takes harsh stances to regain control, enacting curfews, deploying regular patrols, and arresting dissidents. They are harsh, but seem to work, as Maul instructs the people to cooperate. The Chancellor himself approves of this and whispers to Anakin's ear, assuring him that he is doing the right thing. He uses this as an example of how security is critical. But the rest of Coruscant sees otherwise. The sights they are greeted with are the supposed Republic hero suppressing the people he swore to protect. Meanwhile, Maul remains at large. The space battle seems to be going the Republic's way, as Obi-Wan has them make slow but steady progress against the CIS fleet. Though they came in massive numbers, they are unprepared for a long war and struggle to maintain their war efforts, and their resources are slowly depleted. On top of that, Maul hears that Mandalore itself is lost, occupied by the Republic under Ahsoka and the 332nd. Though Dooku repeatedly urges his master to let him retreat and recoup his losses, Palpatine refuses, as it puts his plan at risk. With all of this going on, Maul decides to contact Dooku in secret.
You truly think your master values your life, Count? You remain there in space with your forces whittled down so Palpatine can let his pet play hero.
I expected more from you, Maul. This plan is complex. There is much to it that you do not see.
No, I see where Palpatine is and where we stand. He claims that this is a partnership. Yet while he accumulates power, we remain the galaxy's monsters. Even at the end of the war, we remain the most revived men. Tell me, how shall this allow us to remake the galaxy?
I admit I am unsure how this plan shall end.
It is quite obvious. The two of us will die while Skywalker becomes his newest apprentice. No, if we are to remake the galaxy, it must be done by our hands.
And how do you intend to do that when Palpatine has all the power?
He only has power so long as things go according to his plan. So the answer is simple. We disrupt it. I have an idea.
As the battle continues to rage in the lower districts, things begin to settle down into a habit, as the people above begin to see it as more distant and less of an immediate threat. That is precisely what Maul wants, as he suddenly launches another assault. But instead of a garrison below or the reinforcements, he attacks directly into the Jedi Order. Using schematics that Dooku has provided him, Maul leads an elite group of Mandalorians right into the heart of the Jedi Temple, infiltrating them through the sewer system. The Jedi are taken completely off guard. With so many of their forces fighting above or in the streets, none expect a battle right at the very heart of their temple. Dozens fall before Mandalorian blasters or Maul's lightsaber. The temple is guarded mostly by the very old, the young, or the infirm with a handful of temple guards, with only Maul being able to match them. Instead, teams of Mandalorians must group to take them down, swarming them with fire, blasters, and cables, or planting explosives under their feet and luring them into traps. Bit by bit, they continue their advance and capture more of the temple. The knights and masters are slain, but the younglings and Padawans are taken prisoner, used as hostages to complicate the matter. Now, the Jedi simply cannot fire upon the temple or launch airstrikes without risking their lives. Instead, they have to fight their way in, and dozens of Jedi from the ground and space battle are pulled back, including Anakin. Obi-Wan remains in his place as the overall commander of the space battle, but many of his Jedi sub-commanders must return to the temple along with many of their forces. This momentary confusion is all the CIS needs. They gather their fleet and strike back once again. This time, the battle favors the Separatists, resulting in serious losses for the Republic, adding further pressure on them and allows them to land reinforcements on the surface, adding further pressure to the Republic ground forces. Anakin is in a fury as he rages through the Jedi Temple, cutting down every Mandalorian and criminal unfortunate enough to get in his path. With the 501st behind him, he advances through the temple, clearing it bit by bit. Here, Anakin at least has some success as he liberates large swaths of the temple. But even as his enemies fall, Anakin is only interested in looking for one person, Darth Maul, the man who caused all of this chaos. Yet, no matter where he goes, he does not so much as glimpse the Sith warrior. What he finds from one of the dead Mandalorians is a captured intelligence report. When Anakin examines it, his eyes widen at what he sees. According to the report, the 332nd is now ordered to redeploy back to Coruscant to reinforce the defenses, and Maul has orders to ambush it. Realizing that Ahsoka is in danger, he leaves Commander Appo in charge of the battle while he moves to help Ahsoka. From one of the burning towers, Gar Saxon records everything and publishes it on the holofeed. Jedi and civilians alike see Anakin abandoning his post during a critical time in the battle for the sake of a private citizen. The look is a blow to his reputation as a war hero, making him look selfish and cowardly. Anakin doesn't care though, as his starfighter takes off, leaving the battle in Coruscant behind him. When Palpatine learns about this, he is furious, and is sure that Maul was responsible for this to try and interfere with his plans. Meanwhile, the Tribunal is docked in a shipyard within the inner core as it makes its way back from Mandalore. The crew works hurriedly to try and refuel the ship and load fresh supplies for the coming battle. Despite how weary the men are, they know that this is something they cannot avoid. Ahsoka and Rex watch this from the bridge, directing the troops as they work, when one of the bridge officers reports several hyperspace ruptures. Suddenly, a small flotilla of Mandalorian ships appear, escorting several larger freighters. The Mandalorian ships open up, firing upon the crews working below and sending them scattering in the panic.
All troops, defensive positions.
The bridge crew hurries to their posts, trying to organize a defense. Turbo lasers fire back at the approaching ships, while the hangar opens up to let starfighters out. However, as the main bridge slides open, 2 Mandalorian ships open up their bays. But instead of warriors, they deploy bombs that send the hangar erupting in flames. Amidst the chaos, Maul and his elite Mandalorians rush in and engage the disorganized clone forces. Troopers cry out, gunned down before they can return fire. Alarms blare. The ship shakes under the heavy bombardment. Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex stand at the center of the chaos, trying to beat them back. The Jedi rushes in, deflecting blaster fire as Rex stands behind her, dropping Mandalorians. They rally their men and begin to push back, shouting defiantly as they rush in. For a moment, it seems like they will drive the Mandalorians back from the hangar when the clones surrounding them are suddenly thrown back by the Force, and Maul strides forward, his crimson saber staff igniting.
I looked for you on Mandalore.
Coruscant seemed more interesting. I had business with your master.
Maul grins, then lunges. Ahsoka meets him head-on, sabers clashing in a flurry of light and sparks. Rex fires a burst, covering her as she presses the attack. The Dark Warrior presses Ahsoka, trying to drive her back, but Ahsoka stubbornly locks her lightsabers and holds him in place. She then twists her lightsabers down, directing them away and sending Maul back. Rex tries to take the opportunity and fires, though Maul easily deflects these strikes and growls, leaping at him. The clone barely sidesteps as Ahsoka rushes at him again, going on the offensive. Maul raises his staff and parries this strike. Rex approaches from behind, with his blasters ready, but Maul twists and jabs the second blade between his arm and waist, stabbing him through the chest. Ahsoka screams out, and the distraction is everything Maul needs. He surges forward, delivering a brutal kick to her stomach, sending her skidding across the hangar floor. She recovers quickly just as Maul lunges at her again. But as their lightsabers clash, sending sparks across the room, Maul smirks and swings his weapon up, sending them flying in her direction. She winces as he grabs onto her throat and flips her over. As Ahsoka recovers, he prepares to bring his lightsaber down, but at the last second, a second blade appears and intercepts his strike.
You'll regret that.
Maul grins, but there's unease in his eyes. He twirls his saber staff, backing up slightly.
Ah, the chosen one. Here to save the day. Here to end this.
Anakin and Ahsoka move as one. Maul barely blocks their combined assault as he's thrown back. Taking a deep breath, he advances and tries to separate them, whirling around as his lightsaber flashes against the two of them. It doesn't slow them down, though, as they widen the gap and then rush at him at once. Maul first blocks Ahsoka's strikes, then spins to intercept a blow from Anakin. He tries to slash back, but the Jedi is too fast and sidesteps. Sensing movement behind him, Maul whirls around and drives his lightsaber down, though Ahsoka leaps up and avoids the attack. Landing beside her master, the pair use the Force to shove him back. Rather than give him a chance to retreat, they continue to advance on him, forcing him to use both ends of his lightsaber to halt his attack. Growling, he tries to whirl back, striking low in a quick slash that drives them back as they both kick him. The pair smile and rush at him again, but a burst of lightning stops them in their tracks. Count Dooku appears, lightsaber in hand, as he looks over at them.
You underestimate the situation, Skywalker.
The duel erupts again. Maul and Dooku fight in perfect coordination, Maul's raw aggression complemented by Dooku's refined elegance. More importantly, they have far more experience. The two rush at them, driving the Jedi back. As Maul goes high, aiming for Anakin, Dooku strokes low and forces him into a clumsy retreat. Ahsoka tries to strike at Dooku's side, slashing, yet the Count pivots and halts her attack, directing it down. She twists down at Maul and turns to face her as Dooku whirls to face Anakin. The fighting begins to escalate as Dooku parries each of Anakin's attacks, though the force of the blows sends him reeling. Maul was not joking when he said that Anakin is powerful. Too powerful. He takes a deep breath and catches this attack. Dooku tries to hold it back, but it begins to press down against him. Anakin smiles and shoves him back just as Maul turns and assists Dooku after pushing Ahsoka. Seeing Maul approaching, Anakin shifts his stance, allowing Dooku a quick opening as he drives his lightsaber into Anakin's thigh. He screams in pain, stumbling to the ground, as one quick push is all he needs to send him there. Before he can get up, Maul steps onto his chest and uses the leverage to shove him across the ground. With the two having nothing to worry about, they rush to Ahsoka, who is still trying to get up. Seeing the two Sith Lords approaching her, she gets low and tries to move into a defensive position. But it isn't enough, as their attacks bear down on her. She tries to halt their advances, but this is a losing battle. Eventually, one blow sends her flying across the ground. Before she can recover, Dooku lunges at her and drives his lightsaber into her chest. Anakin surges forward in rage, his strikes wild and furious. Dooku and Maul struggle to contain his wrath, until Dooku lands a devastating kick to his injured leg, dropping him to the one knee. Then Maul slashes across Anakin's chest, sending him sprawling with a shallow wound.
It's over.
Suddenly, the air grows thick with dark energy. A chilling laugh echoes through the hangar. Palpatine emerges from the shadows, his Sith robes billowing around him. His golden eyes blaze with fury as his hands crackle with lightning.
Treachery.
Without hesitation, he unleashes a storm of lightning, forcing the two on the defense as they block the attack. Anakin tries to rise, watching in surprise, but Palpatine looks at him.
Quickly, my boy. I cannot hold them back for long.
He takes a step forward and falls upon the pair, slashing at them, but they sidestep and kick him back just as Palpatine rushes forward. His blows are like lightning, falling in unnatural speed and blocking their attacks with practiced ease. Despite his frail-looking appearance, Palpatine proves a dangerous opponent. Rather than avoid the pair, he rushes in between them, easily countering their attacks, and the two begin to falter. But Maul manages to land a brutal strike across Palpatine's shoulder, sending him staggering. Dooku seizes the moment, lifting Palpatine with the Force and hurling him into the burning wreckage. Palpatine groans, attempting to rise, only for Maul to try and drive his saber straight through his chest. He rolls out of the way and shoves him back as he rushes towards Dooku, lightsaber flashing as they duel. While Palpatine is powerful, he lacks Anakin's youth, and the blows are more manageable. In the meantime, Anakin rises and finds Maul waiting for him. The Night Brother smirks and springs at him, raising his lightsaber above his head and trying to drive him back. Anakin's eyes blaze with dark energy as he gives into his anger. However, Maul has had decades to master that power, and now he lets the attacks batter themselves against him while fighting defensively. This is until Anakin overextends himself and thrusts forward. Maul whirls around and slashes him across the back. Anakin's lightsaber deactivates as he falls forward, but Maul is already shoving him forward towards Palpatine. The Chancellor pushes Anakin's body aside, but fails to see Maul behind him. He barely halts the attack as Dooku approaches the side and drives his lightsaber through his stomach. Palpatine gasps, his eyes wide with shock, lightning flickering from his fingertips, then fades as he collapses. With the death of Palpatine, the leadership crisis that was looming now comes to the forefront as the Republic is thrown into chaos, allowing Maul and Dooku to continue their assault. With their forces coordinating their attacks, they can finally overwhelm Coruscant's defenses and crush them, leaving Dooku and Maul victorious. The two begin to reorganize the galaxy according to their new Sith Empire. Dooku takes over the government, stripping the Jedi of their military responsibilities and replacing them with a professional office corps. Those who refuse to serve them are executed, while those who are open to their ideas pledge themselves to their service as dark acolytes. Meanwhile, Maul continues to run his criminal empire, using it to command the loyalty of the poorest of the poor, ensuring the Jedi cannot win them back. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.